All right, we are back. So in our first segment, we talked about the theme, which has two parts. Because nature is indifferent to people, people need to stick together. The story has a very positive message. It's unfortunate that Billy dies at the end. Billy gave too much, I think. He wore himself out. He was the strongest, yet he died. And I think the reason only he has the name is because he's the one who died. So, we talked in the first segment about how these guys stick together, share cigars, willingly take turns rowing. They each play an important part in the open boat. They have a couple little arguments, but they nip those in the bud. And there's a lot they could be arguing about and stressed about. They're stressed, but they don't argue. They stick together. They literally take warmth from each other. So the other half of the theme, that nature is indifferent, just as important. Couple of symbols there. The wind. It's a windy day here. At one point, they take the captain's black coat. Somebody asked about that. They take the oars and they make a sail out of it, right? That'd be pretty good here. And that's good until the wind stops. So nature helped, then nature stopped. The shark comes, circles, menaces them, right? Then takes off, right? Doesn't attack. It could attack if he wanted to attack, but it doesn't attack. The seagulls drive the guys crazy, but they're just being seagulls, right? They're just doing their thing. The guys think they're taunting them, but they're just flying around, landed, maybe looking for food from the boat. That's right. That's all they're doing. The waves, though, the waves are relentless in this story, right? They're just constant. The waves are constant. Nature is constant and relentless. One little side symbol, put this on the essay exam, you'll do really well. They see a windmill. Now that's when nature's really helpful, right? When you have a windmill. All right, so windy out here, I keep losing my spot. So here's another quotation at the beginning of section 6. When it occurs to a man that nature does not regard him as important, and it doesn't, really it doesn't, and that she feels she would not maim the universe by disposing of him, he at first wishes to throw bricks at the temple. Nature, let's get it. And he hates deeply the fact that there are no bricks and no temples. Any visible expression of nature would surely be pelted with his jeers. Then, if there be no tangible thing to hoot, he feels perhaps the desire to confront a personification, to indulge in pleas, bowed on one knee and hand. So, nature's indifferent here, and it drives men crazy. You know, they do get angry at that seagull, which is kind of ridiculous, right? Because getting angry at nature is ridiculous. But the relentlessness of nature in this story, it does not care. It is not out to get them, nor is it out to help them. Okay, that's important. Nature is indifferent to them in this story. She was indifferent, flatly indifferent, right? The serenity of nature amid the struggles of the individual, nature in the wind, nature in the vision of men. This is all directly from the story, right? One other thing I know I'm forgetting here about the nature. We got the wind blowing, it helps, then it does nothing. The waves are relentless. Symbols of the windmill. And oh, yes, the seagull and the shark. I think we got all the symbols of nature here. So nature is indifferent to them. It's not out to help, it's not out to hurt. Now, several of you were very interested in why the people on the shore didn't help. And conveniently over there, there's a little carved bear wearing it's like red swim trunks or something. So that's the shore over there, right? And here's the ocean. At first they see some people and they wave, hey, hey. And the guy waves back, hey, hey. He doesn't know. He thinks it's 4 guys out in a rowboat, right? He doesn't know. And at first they think he's their hero. And the next thing you know, he's an ass, right? Then they see a man on a bicycle. I like any story with a bicycle's a good story. And he's just pedaling along, right? He sees him, he doesn't know any better. So it's not like the people on the beach are choosing not to help. They just are not figuring out what they're seeing, right? There's a failure for humans to pay close enough attention, maybe. A failure to communicate in this case. And that prolongs their time in the ocean, and maybe that's what eventually kills Billy. Now they do see what they think is someone bringing a much bigger rowboat to come out and help. That's what they want. Turns out it's a horse-drawn omnibus, just a big sort of wagon or wood bus that horses pulled to move people around. So it's not so much the people on the land don't care, it's that they don't really understand, right? What does the idiot with the coat mean? There's the guy waving his coat. What's he signaling anyhow? Looks as if he's trying to tell us to go north. There must be a life station there. No, he thinks we're fishing, just giving us a merry hand. Ah, see there, Willie? Well, I wish I could make something out of those signals. What do you suppose he means? He don't mean anything. He's just playing. The ass. It don't mean anything. So it's kind of, you know, it's a failure to communicate. They just don't see each other. Maybe they're not paying close enough attention. It's not an indifference. It's not an indifference. However, finally, we push to the end of the story. They've been out there for a very long time, and eventually they give up. I mean, they can't stay out there forever. If they exhaust themselves out here, rowing and riding the waves, they'll never make it. They'll just be too tired and they'll drift out, or they'll capsize, and then they won't have enough energy to save themselves. So they go for it, right? They row into shore. And as expected, right? All right, Captain, said the cook. Now, boys, the next one will do us for sure, said the oiler. Mind to jump clear of the boat. So again, they're advising each other. When the boat finally capsizes, they need to jump clear of it so it doesn't whack them in the head. The third wave moved forward, huge, furious, implacable. It fairly swallowed the dinghy, and almost simultaneously the men tumbled into the sea. A piece of life belt had lain in the bottom of the boat, and as the correspondent went overboard, he held this to his chest with his left hand. The January water was icy. It is winter, someone asked. In the Caribbean, but still. The water was cold. And they popped to the surface. And they're floating. They're trying to get in. Nature is relentlessly indifferent to them. They start to contemplate death. Perhaps an individual must consider his own death to be the final phenomenon of nature. Maybe. Then we get to the end. Now, it's not exactly a happy ending because Billy dies, but it is a coming together of people, right? Through the indifference of nature. Presently, he saw a man running along the shore. He was undressing with most remarkable speed. Coat, trousers, shirt, everything flew magically off him. Now, naked men in literature usually represent the original naked man, Adam, from the Garden of Eden. We talked about that a little bit with Younggood and Brown. Man in a natural state is naked. And in this natural state, this man is running. He's getting into a natural state to save them, right? There's something natural about us saving each other. He was naked as a tree in winter, and he appears to have a halo. Now here's some more evidence about them sticking together. The naked man goes to help the correspondent. The correspondent says, thanks. But suddenly the man cried, what's that? He pointed a finger. The correspondent said, go. So the correspondent just got saved, mostly. You know, he's mostly out of the water. And then he says, no, go help him, right? They're trying to point to help each other. Sadly, though, in the face In the shallows, face downward, lay the oiler. His forehead touched sand that was periodically between each wave clear of the sea. The correspondent did not know how that transpired afterward. When he achieved safe ground, striking the sand with each particular part of his body, it was as if he dropped from a roof, but the thud was grateful to him. Remember, he kind of got tossed out of the water. He got lucky. Well, nature's indifferent. It drowns Billy, tosses the correspondent. Now here's the coming together. It seems that instantly the beach was populated with men with blankets, clothes, flasks, and women with coffee pots, and all the remedies sacred to their minds, right? When they realize that these men need to be saved, they all come running with whatever they think can help, whatever's sacred. Whoa, lost a page, hold on. Clearly, nature is indifferent to my torn up literature anthology. Thank you, nature. Thank you. Maybe I ought to get a new book before I do this again outside in the wind. Pretty nice day. I'll take it. Yes, the welcome of the land to the men from the sea was warm and generous, right? However, death is still sinister and cold, and it kills Billy. Now at the end, it says they felt they could have been interpreters. What they have learned through this ordeal, this struggle with the indifference of nature, well, they've learned about nature's indifference, nature's power here. And they can become interpreters of it. They can tell people about it. And Stephen Crane does that for us in his short story, The Open Boat. Now, we see this all the time, folks. We see this same thing all the time. When a hurricane hits somewhere, people donate money. They go to help, right? There's a group of veterans, you know, who have pickup trucks and, you know, small boats with motors. And when there's a big flood, they just go in and they just go around picking up people and dogs. And, you know, when nature does that. I used to live in an apartment building, small, old mill, beautiful building. I didn't really talk to the other people much. I didn't see them in the hallways because I had my own entrance. But we would talk when in the winter. We'd go out, we'd all be shoveling our cars out together, right? Now that's hardly a threatening situation, but we were sort of unified out there and digging out our cars. So kind of a silly example, but still, when nature puts us under a little bit of stress, we do tend to come together. But you do see it, people coming together after natural disasters. And it's good, right? And it's good, because nature doesn't care, right? Stephen Crane brings up existential questions about our own existence. And one of the answers to his questions is, because nature is indifferent to us, we need to help each other. We got enough problems in the world with illness, thank you COVID-19, natural disasters, trying to stay warm in the winter, trying to stay fed with our relationship, growing food within nature. We have enough problems. Let's not create problems for each other. Let's stick together, right? Because nature is indifferent to people. We need to stick together.